expecting over 40,000 here tonight at Busch Stadium. It's an absolutely gorgeous night for baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. Lou Piniella trying to find a spark in his lineup as the starting pitching of the Cardinals has really shut him down. Tony La Russa getting starting pitching, something that has been desperately needed here in the month of May for Dave Duncan and the Cardinals skipper.
Well, Adam Wainwright goes out there, and after his performance on Saturday, he may be able to contain this offense once again. Lou Piniella very concerned about his offense.
Soriano, Terrio, and Fukudome, then Lee, Bradley, and Fontenot, Soto, Friel, and Marshall. That Cubs batting order against Adam Wainwright, coming off his best start of the year against Milwaukee on Saturday. And this is presented by Marshall Wireless, his numbers.
Well, deceiving, he lost that game, his best start, and I agree, by far a 1-0 defeat to the hands of Corey Hart and Milwaukee Brewers. But he was winning earlier in the season, not pitching Wayne-like fashion. But we think he's going to follow Carpenter, who followed Pinheiro in spectacular fashion.
Our first pitch of the game is presented by Domino's Pizza. The free swinger, Soriano, fouls it back. Alfonso Soriano is 4 for 18 against Adam Wainwright, hitting .272 on the year, 12 home runs from the leadoff spot and 25 RBIs. You always look at that on-base percentage for a leadoff man. He's at .333. Soriano into center field. Rasmus is there. Been a struggle for Soriano in this series. Let's take a look at the defense behind Wainwright tonight. Real interesting lineup for Tony La Russa. First start left field this season for Joe Thurston. Barton is at third. Tyler Green at short. Brendan Ryan is at second. Pujols at first. Wainwright and Molina the battery. The Cardinals defense presented by Auto Tire.
Tony La Russa told me that Thurston's best two positions, number one is second base, but his second best position is left field. So he's very comfortable having the rookie out there.
I asked Joe about it a couple hours ago about playing left field, and he said, this is not foreign to me. I did it last year at AAA, and he did it this spring for Tony La Russa, so it's not that big a deal.
Right.
Terrio pulls it foul, no balls and 2 strikes. He has the most at-bats in history against Wainwright in this lineup. With the Ramos Ramirez out, he had 25 at-bats against Adam, and Terrio 7 for 24 against the Cardinal starter. We saw Carpenter in the first. The game last night, 5 straight strikes, and now Wainwright has been very effective here in this start. To his left, Tyler Green. 2 away. Let's take a look at our keys to the game presented by Toyota. Wainwright's last 3 starts, and the game Saturday is the one to really focus on. The 8 innings and the 2 hits and the lack of walks, because he felt that he figured out a mechanical flaw coming out of the game against Cincinnati.
Yes, he had his delivery. His release point was too high for his arm slot. Felt like it was trying to catch up, so he didn't have the same velocity or movement on his fastball, and his patent breaking ball was a little bit off.
A lot of first pitch strikes here in the first inning. That's always good to see.
Well, he's been perfect so far. Every pitch he's thrown has been a strike. One better than Carpenter last night. He was 5 for his first 5. Wainwright 6 for 6.
How big is it to have Chris Carpenter healthy and pitching like he did last night? It's just a boost to this franchise.
Right. He just means so much to everybody on that team. And Dan, you and I both had a lot of people say, what do you expect? And you can't say I expect 5 shutout innings, but we also can't say we were surprised.
Not at all.
I mean, he is that good when he's healthy, and appears to be healthy again.
That's 8 straight strikes to start this game for Wainwright, who admittedly was struggling with his control just about 10 days ago.
Exactly right. And if you just think about it, Dave Duncan couldn't be more pleased after a very disappointing month of May by the starters. His last 3 games, they have all taken charge. And let's see a put-away curveball.
He got him. Soriano goes down. Terrio goes down. And Fukudome strikes out. All strikes from Wainwright in the first. To town tomorrow night for the first of three as we wrap up this series here this evening. The lineup: Ryan, Rasmus, and Pujols. It's interesting. Molina batting cleanup, then Nick Stavanoa, Brian Barton, Joe Thurston, Adam Wainwright, the pitcher, batting eighth, and Tyler Green, the shortstop, batting ninth against the 26-year-old lefty Sean Marshall. And his numbers brought to you by Marshall Wireless.
26-year-old. See, he's 2-2 on the year. He's 0-1 against the Cardinals. Already his third start against the Redbirds this season. Selected by the Red Sox in the 5th round back in 2003.
Last time out, he was working in relief back on May 16th. Came into the 9th inning with 3 on and 2 out and was able to get out of a jam. And Wainwright perfect in the top half of the first as far as throwing strikes, and now
and Marshall's perfect
with 2 balls.
See Brendan Ryan showing some patience.
Don't see that a lot from Brendan, but again, he's getting more comfortable.
And I think it just comes with the extra playing time. You know, he's starting to realize the one thing they ask him to be is be responsible. You know, be reliable. He's always been kind of a little injury prone. He's got to show him that he can do the job here at this level.
And it's 3-1. Ryan here, and then Rasmus on deck, and Albert Pujols. Left-handed hitters only hitting 174 off this southpaw. And you look at the top of lineups for Sean Marshall this year: 1, 2, and 3 hitters hitting just 178 this year. There's a liner caught by Terrio for the first out. Good play.
Good play. Good at bat for Brendan Ryan. Just comes up empty.
Brings in Rasmus. Here's the defense presented by Auto Tires. Soriano, Fukudomi, and Bradley. Friel, Terrio, Fontenot, and Derek Lee along the infield. Sean Marshall and Giovanni Soto, the battery. Now, Lou Piniella, when you look from Derek Lee down, you see the last play by Terrio, but from Lee, Bradley, Fontenot, Soto, Friel, and Marshall, you're talking about 4 through 9. The highest batting average is 230 in this lineup for Lou Piniella.
I talked to Lou today, and he was commenting about all the 200 averages and say this isn't Mayday.
Off speed pitch, no balls, 2 strikes. And they've got some thunder in this lineup too when they're right.
Well, the one thing Lou has, and we talked about with Ramirez out, he does not have a legitimate, bat to put in there at third base. He's got some glove men, but not the threat of like a Ramirez.
And we talked about it last night. You've got Miles, you've got Fontenot, you've got Terrio.
He's got Ryan Friel, who just came over in a trade from Baltimore.
More utility guys.
Right. And guys, more like you'd think second baseman, utility type guys. Not that they can't play at this level, but he doesn't have a 26 home run guy on the bench like he had in DeRosa.
And the Cardinals, looking at their side of things, they're struggling from that corner spot as well.
Exactly. If you look at the first 2 games of the series, the Cardinals were up 2-0, but Tony's had to manufacture runs. Very few hits and runs for the Cardinals, and virtually nothing for the Cubs.
The pitch taken, blown away. Remember the home run the other night by Colby Rasmus was off the lefty Ted Lilly. That was good to see.
That's the first time he's really stung a ball against a left-handed pitcher.
Out to right. Bradley over to make the catch. As he lifted that breaking ball into right field. 2 outs, and here's Albert Pujols. Frank Robinson was on that poll in the Sporting News as far as ranking the best players. Pujols, if you haven't seen it or heard about it, was ranked number 1. There's MVPs on there in that poll and former Cy Young Award winners, and Frank Robinson gave him the nod as being the best player in baseball because in his mind you could play him anywhere. If you wanted to play him at third, you could play him there. Left field, he could play there and do just fine, as we've seen in the past.
And that means something, because not all the Hall of Famers or former Cy Young Award winners pay detail and strict attention to what goes on, but Frank Robinson, remember, was in the dugout the last couple of years.
Even Pujols at the beginning of this season volunteered to go over and play third base, as Hal McRae was working with Albert Pujols around 4 o'clock here this afternoon. More extra BP for the MVP.
He's a perfectionist, and right now his swing is not grooved.
Uh-oh. Now it is. Deep one. Left field. Oh! He knocked out the eye in Big Mac land. He knocked it out. It's a solo home run. 1-0 Cardinals on his 14th of the season. And Busch Stadium, they're going to have to repair that one.
It's odd that the man, Albert Pujols, knocks out I. And he is anything but I. He is we. But right there, he smokes it. Just a line drive, but with his great strength, it goes up to the third deck, right off the Big Mac sign, and knocks the light out of I. He killed it in more ways than one.
This crowd is buzzing. You'll see it when it lights up, gets a little darker. You know, you can tell now, but wait till it gets a little darker. He knocked the eye out.
Didn't take long to get there either, did it?
No, no, no.
There's that gentleman in the red shirt, third person in, could have stopped it. Kind of broke his hand, but
it definitely would have broken his hand. I like the graphic.
Yes.
38 RBIs for Albert Pujols. 14th home run of the season.
He was third in home runs, and he was tied for first with RBIs. Tops with his runs. Soriano's chasing him there.
In the shallow center, Kosuke Fukudome puts it away. Albert Pujols, 14th home run, 38th RBI, and some repair work at Busch Stadium. Deep, 418 feet. This is the Exmo Cam presented by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill. And the sweet swing of Albert Pujols. And goodbye to the eye.
And everyone in attendance, and this is a sellout, will receive free Big Macs.
Got your ticket stub?
Got your ticket stub. Go to your friendly McDonald's and redeem it for a Big Mac. Thanks to Albert.
Wainwright is yet to throw a ball. This is Derek Lee, who's 4 for 19 against Adam. 1-0 Cardinals here in the top of the second. We're talking about that third base position of the Cardinals, and a lot of fans have asked me about Brett Wallace. Why not bring him up if you're not going to go outside the organization? And for those that don't know, the first-round pick from a year ago, the Triple Crown winner at Arizona State, he can hit, but can he play third base? And I guess the better question is, would you entertain the idea of bringing him up for interleague play? Use him as a DH?
Doesn't really matter what we entertain. Apparently John Mozeliak has said that will not happen. And I saw the other day the notes where he was he was hitting over 400. It was about 18 at bats at AAA since Freese went on the disabled list.
It's a base hit for Lee, his 5th ever off of Adam Wainwright, and it brings in Milton Bradley.
Derek Lee's feeling much better. He's got a bulging disc in his neck. With medication and time off, that's kind of the pressure's being taken off, and he's back to swinging the bat well. But first of all, let's go David Freese, the St. Louisan, who just had remember he had the January accident where he had the ankle injury. Well, they did perform surgery, I think, 2 days ago. And Dr. Belletta told me that when they got in there, it was just an awful lot of scar tissue. And right after surgery, he had so much more mobility and movement in that ankle, just removing that scar tissue. But he'll be out, probably close to 8 weeks. So that's how Wallace got promoted to AAA. Really won't know anything about Troy Glaus until probably the first week in June to assess where he's at, but you have to believe at the earliest would be after the All-Star break. So I think they are contemplating, if depending on the news on Glaus, that they may go outside the organization.
Certainly, I think he'd be tempted to look at Brett Wallace.
He'd be tempted to do something right now.
Yep. A lot of people are talking about Mark DeRosa. He could be a guy that could be had possibly with the Cleveland Indians off to just a horrific start.
I would wholeheartedly endorse that one.
He's making $5.5 million this year.
It's not our money.
Not our decision either. So,
but we're
hey, let's do it.
Make it.
Let's do it.
And I mean, the thing about DeRosa is not only is he a terrific ball player, but the versatility. He played 5 different positions last year.
Bradley strikes out, and that's right up Tony La Russa's alley when he's talking about a guy that can play all over the field. 2 strikeouts for Wainwright.
Well, we talked about that curveball and the inconsistency on it, but boy, the last 2 games, he's had it right back where you want it. That 12-6. You start that ball right where he does, belt high on a curveball. As a hitter, you've got to lay off it because the bottom's going to fall out and it'll be, out of the strike zone. You can't hit that pitch.
Mike Fontenot is really struggling. 2 for his last 36. The last 11 games.
Here's what Lou's saying. I don't have any other alternatives. I've got to play these guys. And in fairness to Mike and others, is the only way you're going to break out of that slump is to keep on playing.
Soto is on deck. He had a tremendous season a year ago. His rookie year, he's only hitting .202. There's the breaking ball and a strike. Minnesota, in a close one, defeats the White Sox 20-1. And the White Sox apparently are on the cusp of reaching an agreement and getting an ace in Jake Peavy. Peavy has to approve the deal.
Yeah, and I think he has said that he does not, or prior to this proposed trade, doesn't want to go to the American League.
Double play ball, 4-6-3. Stavanoa, Barton, Thurston coming up at Busch Stadium. for the Cardinals. A reminder, this week on Fox Saturday Baseball, interleague play in full swing. Ryan Howard and the defending World Series champion Phillies make their first trip to Yankee Stadium. They'll take on Derek Jeter and the Yankees. Fox Saturday Baseball this week at 3, only on Fox. Stavanoa, the right fielder tonight, is batting .250. I want to get well wishes to Hoyt Stout. He's at Children's Hospital, young man. A lot of people pulling for him, and I know he's watching and listening here tonight. Off speed pitch, and that's strike 2. But Hoyt Stout, wish him nothing but the best.
Off speed pitches are going to be the feature pitches against the very young hitters on the Cardinals lineup.
That's just a matter of, all of a sudden you're, starting to mature a little bit down the road. But when you first get to the big leagues, pull the string a little bit, and these guys are out in front. You
don't see the effectiveness or the change-ups in the minor leagues, the quality that you see here.
There's a swing and a miss, and the first strikeout for Marshall. And it brings in Brian Barton. Brian Barton is hitting .258, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. He's at third base. So again, if you're just joining us, the Cardinals have Barton at third, Tyler Green at short. There's Hal McRae with Colby Rasmus. Brendan Ryan is at second base, and the left fielder tonight, Joe Thurston. I'm sure you saw the bit of news that a part of Highway 40, a little stretch of it, will be renamed Jack Buck Highway, possibly. That'd be great.
Going to the state line in Illinois, right? I guess on the bridge.
He meant so much to so many people here in the Midwest and throughout the country.
A little long overdue.
It's tapped foul, 1-2.
As far as I'm concerned, it should have been named Jack Buck Highway, not Memorial Highway, when he was living.
Hard to believe it's been 7 years since he passed away. 1-2 pitch. Barton stays alive as he spoils it. Barton had that great first month, and then he didn't play an awful lot, and you wonder if that really hurt him.
Well, I think it does. It gets your timing off. But this is one of his favorite pitchers to hit off. You know what he is against him? 4 for 4.
Yep.
Against Marshall. And those first hits came in that great month of April.
Now 4 for 5. And
this is May.
Yeah, this is the second strikeout for Marshall. And both coming in the second inning. If you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. Visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on.
You know, we raved about Thurston and Barton in the month of April. Barton won the Rookie of the Year, and Thurston was a very close runner-up. And that's in the National League. But in May, these two have come back to earth, and both of them struggling mightily.
And so have the Kansas City Royals. They lose again today. They'll be in town tomorrow night. We'll talk about the Royals when we come back. 1-2-3 inning for Marshall. After 2, it's 1-0. Scouts and Girl Scouts night here at the ballpark Tuesday, June 16th. All Scouts and their family and friends can purchase discounted tickets, and all Scouts will receive a special Cardinals patch. For details, visit stocardinals.com/scouts, with a number to call for tickets, 345-9500. Kansas City will come in tomorrow just a game above the 500 mark at 21-20. This is Giovanni Soto, Todd Wellemeyer, and Kyle Davies. The Cardinals catch a break. No Zach Greinke, at least in this series this weekend.
We'd love to see him, wouldn't we? The way the young man is pitching. As a fan of baseball, not
as a fan, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see the Cardinal hitters have to deal with that guy. He is the best pitcher on the planet right now.
Soto, who is last year's unanimous rookie of the year, had to be close, maybe not, but off to a very slow start. He had a bad right shoulder earlier in the season.
1-2. Very good catcher defensively and hit a lot last year for the Cubs. So Davies and Wellemeyer tomorrow at 6:30. Todd looking to rebound after 2 straight losses. There's a line shot that's caught by Barton.
Wainwright looks awfully good tonight, and we want to pass a big get well soon to Willard Bainey, who's recovering at St. Mary's Hospital here in St. Louis. You know how big a Cardinal fan Willard is? When he arrived at the ICU, he wanted to know if they had Fox Sports Midwest, because if he was going to change hospitals if they didn't. So they've got our game on there. So Willard, get well, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to wish you a happy birthday early. His birthday's going to be later in May.
Here's a ground ball to short. Tyler Green, 2 away. Saw that shot of Brendan Ryan, and we talked about it the last couple of nights, how deep he was playing at short. And he said he did it for 2 guys, Soto and Lee. And he said basically it just allows him to have more range by playing on that outfield grass. And it started for him, he said, in Atlanta. Remember, in Atlanta is when he made those great plays at shortstop too. So he decided to play a little bit deeper, and you see him here at second base playing very deep on the outfield grass.
Saw Belliar at times play very deep wearing the Cardinal uniform.
Ranging to his left, but he won't be able to get that one. It's a base hit. The only problem is if you play that deep and you have a good bunter, he can push it right past the pitcher, and it's in no man's land.
I think a lot of people say go ahead and try it, because you have to be pretty effective to guide it that area. Many times you just hit it to the pitcher or your first baseman, but here Wainwright's counterpart gets his 2nd hit of the year. He's now 2 for 10.
There's Soriano, who is fly to center. A closed stance, hangs over the plate. The first pitch is taken outside with 2 outs. Now they have the shift on for Soriano. And Brendan is still on the outfield grass, but towards second. And Tyler Green is playing a little bit closer in than we saw Brendan Ryan the last couple of nights. Belliard, it seemed like though he would play that deep out of necessity.
Yeah.
The range wasn't there like we see from Brendan Ryan.
And Molina paid for that foul ball. Says he's okay. Boy, you got to be tough back there, don't you?
To play as many games as he has and does. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Never forget Darryl Porter. And remember Darryl, and we miss him frequently, but had substance abuse problems. And when he got ironed out and got straightened out, he told me, he said, I never realized how much foul balls hurt.
Well, he was a good buddy of yours, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Pitch looked pretty good. Doesn't get the call. It's 3 balls and 1 strike.
Couple pitches there as C.B. Buckner didn't see the way we did.
It's amazing when you watch this game as a fan. You sit back and you say, you just missed that pitch, but then you're Wainwright and you're thinking, I'm facing one of the toughest hitters right now in a hitter's count instead of being 2-2.
And I don't want to just groove something down the middle of the plate. I want to make quality pitches.
Got him to reach. Force play at second. Barton to Brendan Ryan. Cubs strand a runner. It's 1-0. That gives you home field advantage and an extraordinary Cardinals baseball experience. For reservations and information, number to call is 421-1776 or visit HiltonSt.Louis.com. Just beyond the left field wall here at Busch Stadium, Adam Wainwright, Tyler Green, 8 and 9 in the order. Then Brendan Ryan, the Cardinal leadoff man. Cardinals close to getting healthy with Ricky Ankiel and Ryan Ludwig. We'll talk about that momentarily with Jim Hayes. Jake Peavy, by the way, just moments ago rejected the trade to the Chicago White Sox, saying that San Diego, quote, is best for me and my family. So he's staying put.
Well, and he will be pitching against the Cubs tomorrow and Zambrano as he comes off the disabled list. So, well, he said he didn't want to go to the American League. Has to approve that trade, making plenty of money, but I guess, you know, if you're, he's from Louisiana, is that right?
He's from that area, yeah.
Yeah, and played his career in San Diego. Kind of hard to pick a better spot, unless it's St. Louis.
He said he talked with White Sox reliever Scott Linebrink, a friend of the former Cy Young Award winner. Those two were teammates from 2003 to 07. Said he asked very pointed questions and whether or not he wanted to be a part of their franchise. And Linebrink said it was 50-50 at that point when they spoke, that he would come to Chicago, and he has rejected the trade. Here is Tyler Green. He's at shortstop tonight. And let's bring in Jim Hayes. And Jim, let's start with Ricky Ankiel. When do you think we can expect him back in the lineup for Tony La Russa?
Well, Tony La Russa had originally said that he believed Ankiel would be ready to go tomorrow. Today, Tony said it will probably be on Saturday. Ankiel's battling a shoulder problem and a little oblique thing that causes him a slight pull when he swings and misses. Tony also saying when Ankiel comes back, he'll be in right field, not center field.
Interesting that you hear that. That means it kind of clears the way for Colby Rasmus. Is that the idea there? Also to take a little bit of the pressure off him playing center too, Jim?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of two things. Obviously, Colby's been playing well, and Ankiel has not had a lot of time to work defensively, so I think they're just going to ramp him in a little bit, Dan.
And the other guy to talk about that will play right field when he returns, Ryan Ludwig, you would figure. Where does he fall in all this?
Well, he says he feels good. He went on the 15-day DL on May 13th. and he's got the hamstring injury. He's been slowly working his way back. He's starting to do some work defensively, and he's on there for 15 days. He says he feels good. The good news, hot shot to third.
Into the dugout it goes, and Tyler Green will wind up at second base. Go ahead, Jim.
But the good news for Ryan Ludwig is he says he doesn't anticipate that he'll be on the DL any longer than the 15 days. Hamstrings are tricky. He doesn't feel that this is a real serious problem. And Dan, we've talked about this before. Based on the fact that Ludwig has been through all kinds of real serious injuries, he feels fortunate with this one.
Yeah, and he actually said basically 48 hours after it took place in Pittsburgh, Jim, to both of us, you know, he felt great. So they just want to be very cautious, long season, and I think everybody obviously is looking forward to seeing him back in there.
Yeah, how about that? The Cardinals are winning again, and they're getting healthy.
All right, Jim, thanks.
And I don't want to be pessimistic, but I could see a scenario that Ludwig comes off before Ankiel.
And you're saying that because?
I talked to Tony a little bit today and asked him about Ankiel, and he said he cut the batting cut the batting short today because he still feels that rib cage. Where Ludwig, I'm convinced he's coming off on Monday.
This is Brendan Ryan with a runner at second following the error by Ryan Friel.
So it doesn't do any good if you still have a little strain or you feel something grab you in the rib cage. Don't come off too soon.
Brendan out to center field. Fukudome going back to make the catch. Tyler Green tagging up from second to third and in there safely. When you look at that, it's probably a lucky play because he needs to be at the bag at second. If it gets over Fukudome's head, he can just walk home, and I'm sure that's what Jose Oquendo's talking about.
Exactly. You know, he got a little bit too far and, you know, towards third base, so then he had a long run to retrace his steps. But when a ball is that deep, at the very least, you see there's the indecision right there. And then he has to scramble and run hard all the way to get into third. Now, he got lucky. He's there, and that's the most important thing. But Oquendo, as you said, just kind of interject a little things there and try to learn from your mistakes.
And another mistake, why is he looking backwards at the ball? I mean, there's one place to go. It's third base.
Yeah. When you look back, it stops your forward progress running forward. You don't see track runners look back at their opposition, do they?
No. 2 outs. Here's Colby Rasmus with Pujols on deck. Colby fly to right his first time up the middle with a rocket. And it's 2-0. Another breaking ball against the lefty, and he took it right back up the middle.
Well, the mistake is that he's leaving it on the inner part of the plate. You know, but Colby is feeling more and more comfortable. Big breaking ball, but it's on the inside. If he gets that down and away, he gets him out. But leaving it on the inner part and kind of hanging a little bit, you know, and when you talk about that front shoulder, how important it is, you can't let it bail. He didn't bail, and even if he does a little bit, the ball's on the inside part of the plate, so you get good wood on it.
Here's Pujols, and he looks at a ball outside with 2 outs and a runner at first, and Pujols homered off of Big Mac land his first time up. Last 6 home runs have been solo shots for Albert.
Just haven't had guys on in front of him, obvious, but, you know, even Albert hasn't been swinging the bat that well, but his numbers are still great. Had the great April, tailored off in May. As one of the things we talk about, you know, there's a lot of guys not hitting in front of him, but nobody's walking on this offense either. A lot more walks in April.
We focus so much on the lefty-lefty matchup, and at times where the Cardinals, like Erasmus, have struggled in that category, but you have to play against lefties to get comfortable.
You don't see that many in the minor leagues, or, you know, you're being platooned when you do see them, so, you know, you don't face that many of them. It just you need repetitions.
2-0 pitch. 3 balls, no strikes with Molina on deck.
And I've always, you know, been one that didn't really, you know, cater so much to lefty-lefty, righty-righty, because, you know, if you make a good pitch, you're going to get any hitter out, or you have a better chance to get him out. If you make a bad pitch, it doesn't matter if it's a lefty or righty. That guy has a better chance of beating you.
Sure. A walk to Pujols. First walk issued by Marshall. He wanted nothing to do with Albert. Now it's 1st and 2nd. And this is where you talk about difference makers in the game and points in the game. If you're going to walk Pujols and put a man in scoring position, you have to make a pay.
We will never second guess a pitcher for pitching around Pujols. But if you do that, you have to have that mindset as I can afford to do that because I'm going to get the next guy out. We'll see if it happens here.
Molina fly to center, first time up. Runners at 1st and 2nd, 2 outs. 2-0 Cardinals. RBIs by Erasmus and Pujols here tonight. That pitch is taken low and away.
And everybody says, oh, you're showing up Molina by walking Pujols. Heck with that. It's just good baseball strategy.
Absolutely.
And, like any strategy, a manager can make all these great decisions, but it's up to the execution of the players.
Arguably, the biggest play maybe in this series was in the 1st inning of the 1st game. And the 3rd pickoff of the year, 29th of his career by Yadier Molina, picking off Soriano. Slowly hit to 3rd, Frio gloves and throws and makes the play. He made that throw, but with 1 out. And Tyler Green up. He was knocked over. And then threw it in the dugout. Rasmus made him pay. New 2010 Chevrolet Camaro with a police escorted caravan through St. Louis. And you can see the all-new Chevrolet Camaro at your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers. Wainwright pitching now in the 4th. 2 hits aside and a 2-0 lead for the Redbirds. Ryan Theriot, Kosuke Fukudome, and Derek Lee. Theriot, the 29-year-old, made his major league debut in 2005. This is 9th year in the Cubs organization. 3rd round pick back in 2001.
Out of LSU University, where his teammate is his current teammate, Mike Fontenot, and they were on a College World Series team.
This is a big influence for him. Alan Trammell. That's up the middle. Over to get it, Brendan Ryan. Nifty play. Nicely done.
Brendan Ryan has really shown some leather and shown some good range. He's a high energy kind of guy. We talked about how to get him to play under control. But here you're talking about playing deep, gives you more range, and it comes into play here as he fields the ball on the 3rd base side of 2nd base. Got that nice strong throwing arm, circles the ball to get his momentum behind him, and makes a nice play up the middle.
Here's Fukudome. Kosuke Fukudome. Played 9 seasons. Japanese Central League MVP 1 season.
You notice, Dan, how all these Japanese hitters, they almost seem like, particularly the left-handers, as Fukudome calls time, but they almost seem like they're running as they're swinging. So if you can keep the ball away from them, you wonder if they have plate coverage. And work the outside play to win. Because when you throw the ball in the inner half, they're kind of like falling out and running all in one motion. Use their arms, just kind of a sweeping swing.
How about just backdooring, some breaking balls, because you really give up on those too.
Good sinker that you can kind of run down and away, or if you throw inside, it's almost a purpose pitch, brushing them back a little bit so you can get them out away.
You're exactly right. It seems like in the highlights I've seen of Fukudome, when he hits a home run, it's inner half.
Yes.
And he just opens up and then lets it rip.
Right there. That's the perfect pitch for him. And you watch a guy's feet too. You can only, as a hitter, you can only protect one side of the plate. So he's going to have one dominant side. You as the pitcher got to throw to the opposite.
Here's the curveball hit to short. Tyler Green with it. Quickly to first, 2 away. So 2 outs. And stop by the Kraft product displays at your local Deerbergs to enter for your chance to win the Kraft Triple Play Barbecue. The Kraft Barbecue includes 4 game day tickets and an appearance by 2 Cardinals players. Stop by any Deerbergs for your chance to have a private barbecue with the Cardinals.
Met a young man down at batting practice that said you had met him a couple weeks ago, Ben Key from Memphis.
Yes, sir.
So he said, say hello to Dan, so I had to bring him up in the booth.
And here he
hello
is.
To you.
Nice enough to stop on by.
Yeah. Of course, I don't know. We made him come up here. I don't know if he's enjoying it.
Only 13, now 14 balls on the night.
There's our buddy. Yeah. Ben Key from Memphis, waving to mom.
Derek Lee last night said that Chris Carpenter was the nastiest pitcher he's faced yet this year.
I saw that.
Isn't that something? I mean, the guy hasn't pitched since mid-April.
Well, remember when he hurt himself, or prior to that, he pitched against the Cubs, so he got a little taste of him again.
Barton. Oh, what a pick by Pujols. You talk about some soft hands over there. Great pick by Albert. 2-0. Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots. Nick Stavanoa, Brian Barton, and Joe Thurston as we welcome you back to downtown St. Louis and Busch Stadium. The Cubs and Cardinals. Redbirds lead it 2-0. Stavanoa looks at a breaking ball and a strike, and how about this fine play? all around. Barton to his left, and then the pick by Albert.
Yeah, goes to his left, spins around, and then he short hops. But as you said, Albert's got those real nice soft hands. Former Gold Glove winner, looking for another.
Stabenoa struck out his first time up. Mentioned Chris Carpenter was outstanding last night, and I asked him today in the clubhouse, you know, how did you feel waking up this morning, and what's it feel like now? He says, I absolutely feel awesome. He said, I just feel like I'm back in rhythm again. I said, you know, no rehab and no competitive action, and yet here you are going 5 scoreless innings. And he said it started in the road trip in Washington. He said he started actually throwing a weighted ball to keep his arm in shape. He said that wasn't at all a concern for him. The only concern was his side, and he said basically that was done about a week ago. So well, he feels great.
And remember, he lost 2 years, the last couple of years. So if he feels good, you know, he doesn't want to mess around anymore, doesn't want to go down to rehab. And, you know, he knows his body better than anybody else, and what a great competitor, so let him pitch.
Down the left field line, Soriano back. He'll look up, and it's gone. Just over the wall. The second Cardinal home run, 4th of the season for Brian Barton. 3-0 St. Louis.
Well, we told you Barton prior to tonight was 4 for 4 against Marshall. Marshall got him the first time, struck him out, but Barton strikes back. His 4th home run, his 8th RBI, and isn't that good to see? These 2 young third basemen been struggling a little bit, but Barton tries to get you back thinking about, hey, don't be looking for any replacements. We can do the job.
So a 1-out home run, solo shot for Barton. 3-0 Cardinals, and here's Thurston. It's amazing what good pitching, good defense, a little timely hitting does for a ball club that was searching for a little run like this, and they put it together.
With all the rookies that were playing, the Cardinals have played 11 this year, most in the major leagues. I mean, we've got an all, you know, look at how many rookies are playing in this game. Basically, you've got 6 rookies in this lineup tonight, don't you?
Let's see here.
Take away Albert,
Rasmus, Barton, Thurston.
Take away Albert, Molina, and Wainwright.
Yeah.
And
Al, you really liked Vern Rapp, didn't you?
No.
At all?
No.
I bring that up because
our day in Schnook's history, right?
We're going to show you this in just a bit, and then you can explain for maybe our young viewers that don't know your history with Vern Rapp and facial hair and
let's see, it's a family
long
show,
hair,
right?
And
okay, I got to get myself psyched up to control myself.
I want you to be calm up here. That's why I had to tell you now so you could be stable. Well, Cards manager Vern Rapp suspends Al Hrabosky for rank insubordination after refusing a request to meet with Rapp. Our Schnooks, this date in baseball history back in 1977. Rank insubordination. This is in the military. This is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Right. It was the Saturday day game. I decided, I came to my own realization. I said, you know, this guy and I just are clashing. Every time he wanted to even call me in the office to praise me, he would say too much and then feel like he had to knock me down a few pegs, and so it ended up being a negative meeting. So I kind of got to the point where he devised this plan that, hey, I've got a good relationship with his coaching staff.
And that could be extra bases just inside that right field line. And Thurston on his way to second. Thurston on his way to third. The throw by Bradley not in time, and Joe Thurston has a triple.
Bradley misplayed that ball as he thought it would get by the side signage boards and go down into the right field corner. It went off the State Farm side and bounced back towards the infield. You see the State Farm sign down there. So Bradley thinks it's going to go down the corner, but coming off the bat left-hander, it hooks, and then it kicks back. So he was all the way into the corner. He's got to race in back towards the infield to retrieve it, and by that time, Thurston ends up with a triple.
He has 8 doubles and now his second triple. Infield in for Adam Wainwright.
Slow breaking ball, but Adam doesn't bite.
We'll get back to Vern Rapp.
Yeah, we will. This is more important.
Momentarily. You know, we haven't seen Tony La Russa use the squeeze all that much this year, and Lou Piniella was thinking it was coming about 4 or 5 different times last night.
Right. Right now, you know, Adam Wainwright he's a hitter. You know, he's a guy that you got a lot of confidence. Tony's already used him 4 times as a pinch hitter this season. So he believes that even though he's a pitcher, that he's got a better chance of driving in the run. Infield in, you know, get a sac fly. But you never know with Tony, because that squeeze is always in the back of the defense's mind.
Pulled foul. That's why you take your lead in foul territory there. There's a teaching point for you.
Exactly right. That ball hits you in fair territory and you're out. Of course, Wainwright gets a base hit.
That's right. But I think he'll take the run.
Childhood buddies from back in the Tampa Bay area, where they played against each other in high school and played together on American Legion teams.
Ground ball hit to short, knocked down by Terrio with time to make the play. Hit it hard, but right at the shortstop, Ryan Terrio, and there's 2 outs.
Not going on contact with the infield in and hitting to the left side. Thurston stays at second base. Just watch the reaction. Lou very calm, and Tony anything but.
Here's Tyler Green. Reached on an error by the third baseman Ryan Friel tonight, then came around to score on the 2-out base hit by Colby Rasmus in the third. Cardinals with a 3-0 lead. 2-out hits have been big in this series. Out in front, taps it foul. No balls and 2 strikes.
Look at that throw by Soto.
In the hole, 0-2.
Marshall doesn't waste a fastball up in the zone after throwing some off-speed pitches to him.
One ball and 2 strikes.
Everything's down, off speed, so you throw a ball up, trying to change the eye angle, get him to chase.
Cardinals start play in front of the Cubs here tonight. By just 1 game, the Cardinals at 23-17. 2 back in Milwaukee. Brewers are 10 games above 500. They're playing in Houston tonight. And we'll see Milwaukee on Monday.
And the Astros have a 3-0 lead, batting in the 4th against Milwaukee.
Not an easy road trip for Milwaukee with their getaway nights. Getaway day games where you get into that city and maybe you can settle in, but night games you have to travel, and Chicago's got a long way to go.
They're going to San Diego tonight and play tomorrow.
2-2. Slow delivery at 71 miles an hour. We saw that from Ted Lilly the other night. At one point he was throwing his breaking ball at 66 miles an hour, and very effective. There's Rick Ankiel. Leo Green there on the right. 2-2 the count. Foul bat. Good at bat here by Tyler.
It's getting to be a good at bat. So he got down in the count quickly. 0-2, but he's battled back to even it and fouled off numerous pitches. Under Al McCray, He has really gotten the Cardinal hitters to cut down their swings, make contact, and they're really not, they don't strike out that often.
So he chokes up with 2 strikes. And he strikes out here as Soto holds on the foul tip. 3 strikeouts on the night for Sean Marshall. It's 3-0. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. We're in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. Here is Milton Bradley. He'll lead it off here in the top of the 5th. And Bradley corks one into deep right center field. On the move, Stabanoa, but the catch is made by Colby Rasmus flying into your screen.
His natural position is center field, and he showed you why. He tracked that one down nicely. And the Cardinals starting pitching in this series have now thrown 18 1/3 shutout innings.
You and Vern rep.
Okay, well, you know, like I said, you know, we had a personality clash. You know, he made me shave, you know, which I did for the betterment of the club. But at this level, discipline is self-discipline. And he thought he was this great disciplinarian. But I devised this method. I was going to say, okay, I'm not going to talk to him anymore. I have great respect for his coaches. If he wants to say anything, say it to his coaches. It wasn't working when he would talk to me. So the problem was, I went in to tell Bing Devine, our general manager, but Bing was at his daughter's college graduation, so I implemented it before I went through channels. And since I had it first time all year, I had a good time in batting practice, laughing, kidding, having a good time, talking to the coaches. Well, he saw that, and so he called me into his office. And I said, no. So 5 minutes, he said, you aren't going to gum him out? I said, no, you know, we'll explain it to you later. Somebody will do it.
And that was it.
No, that's not it yet.
There's more to it. Center field with room. Rasmus against the wall.
Better hurry up before they hit a home run.
Yeah.
But so 5 minutes later, he comes out of his office, and his hands are shaking, and he's got a piece of paper, and it's typewritten, you were suspended for rank insubordination. It was almost like on a 45-degree angle. He jammed it in the typewriter, and I was suspended for the rest of that was Saturday and Sunday's game. Then Bing came back in, called us in the office. He said, what in the world's going on? He said he won't meet with him. I said, well, Bing, I had this idea. So Bing said, if he wants to talk to you about baseball, you have to talk to him. But Vern, don't you talk to him about anything but baseball.
Soto left center field. Rasmus back, and the ball gets away. As Soto will wind up with a double as Thurston nearly had a big-time collision out there with Colby Rasmus, and everybody seems to be just fine.
They're all right, but the ball should have been caught. And lack of communication, you don't see him calling. And Thurston at the last second cuts in front of him, and the ball gets away. No one really took charge on this ball. And you see Colby would have been in a better position. But Thurston's also doing what he should because no one was called off, and that's the area that Rick Ankiel goes. I'm sure he had a gulp right there as he saw them go near that Amram sign where he ran his head in there full blast.
So it's a 2-out double. And here is Ryan Friel. He'll try to atone for that error that led to a run. The Cardinals lead at 3-0. That's 3 long fly balls to start this inning. Rick Ankiel, you think it's in the back of his mind at all when he goes back to center field? Some of those fly balls that all of a sudden you're going back to a track, and I mean, it's human nature. You have to be, I would guess, a little concerned.
I'm sure once he plays a few games out there and nothing happens, that it'll go further back in his mind.
1 ball, 1 strike. Friel takes one inside, 2-1. They picked up Ryan Friel immediately when Ramirez was hurt, separated his shoulder in Milwaukee.
And he's a guy that we've always liked as a utility type player, very high intensity, really hustling type guy. Play a lot of positions also.
3-1. Saw Molina motion to a few things that Wainwright was doing, and I'm sure part of that was getting back to his proper mechanics.
Well, this inning, obviously the first 2 outs were long fly ball outs, and something wasn't quite the same. Then he gives up the double, which should have been caught, but it was still at the wall. And there's a good pitch there. As a pitcher, you appreciate the effort of the outfielders out there, and you can't be disappointed because they didn't make a play that they should have. You just take that attitude. You're going to show them how good you are and not allow that mistake out there to come back and burn you.
3-2 pitch, tapped foul.
Remember, you have the pitcher on deck here, so on a 3-2 pitch, I would really expect to see a breaking ball.
Vern loved your facial hair too, I know that.
Well, it got to the point where Vern was trying to change the team, and I had the long hair and the Fu Manchu. Teddy had the long hair, and he didn't do it necessarily to punish us, but every time everybody made a big issue out of it, what you're trying to change, and there was my pitcher.
Broken bat, hit to short, Green up with it and makes the play. How about the starters this series against the Cubs? Rasmus due up second. AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. By McDonald's, the double cheeseburger extra value meal, now just $2.99 at McDonald's. And the all-new Rebel T1i, now shooting in full HD video inspired by Canon. Here is Brendan Ryan. He'll lead it off. The Cardinals leadoff man here in the bottom of the 5th. And that pitch is a strike. The guys in the truck, they love these fun facts. Oh, nice play. Friel, fair ball, gets up, and they got him. Ryan Friel with a heck of a play. He was in, and he makes the play.
Well, it's hard to believe that Brendan Ryan couldn't beat that out, but you got two high-energy guys. Look at how far off the line Friel is. So he dives for it backwards, comes up with it. And, you know, Brendan Ryan can run and throws across and just narrowly gets him. So a sensational play by Ryan Friel. This is why he's always caught our attention when he was playing with Cincinnati. Just the way he plays all out.
Colby Rasmus, the hitter, with one out. We're going to take you back in our fun fact to the early 1900s. Catching a baseball, or at least he thought he was. That's a tease. You're going to stick around for that. Rasmus, left center. Fukudome is called off by Soriano. 2 outs. Fun fact time, and here we go. 1915, said he could catch a ball dropped from an airplane. Wilbert Robinson prepares to catch the ball. Grapefruit is substituted. When it hits the mitt, it explodes.
And where was it thrown from or dropped from? From an airplane? Okay. Said he boasted he could do it from an airplane. Back in 1915, how many planes were running around there?
Al, that's something you have to take up with the truck.
Well, I think they ought to tell us right now.
I just read them. Two outs, nobody on. And the pitch to Pujols is outside. Albert is homered here tonight. He's also walked.
You know, there have been balls dropped from high, probably higher buildings than what that airplane could fly at altitude-wise back in 1950.
Hey, if they say it's a fun fact, it's got to be a fact.
No, it's definitely a fun fact. And I'm a fan of the fun
Because you're
facts.
having so much fun with it.
I'm trying to figure it all out. I want all the angles. You got me started on burn wrap. I'm trying to behave.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and Pujols calls time. Yadier Molina on deck. Marshall has struck out 3 and walked 1 here tonight. Pujols out to center. Fukudome will make the catch, and the Cardinals' top of the lineup goes down in order. We played 5, and it's 3-0. Kansas City makes their way to St. Louis and Busch Stadium. We're on the air at 6:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. Todd Wellemeyer will get the start for St. Louis. Skip Schumacher into the ball game for the Cardinals, and Schumacher takes over in right field. This is Bobby Scales, so he'll pinch hit now for Sean Marshall. Marshall, 5 innings. He gives up 4 hits and 3 runs.
And this guy's been a pretty good pinch hitter, rookie, and he is perfect as a pinch hitter this year. 2 for 2, a home run and a triple.
Breaking ball. A little bit outside. Bobby Leon Scales.
296 overall with that 1 home run, 5 RBIs.
He's 31. Second season now with the Cubs. 11th professional career, season. Signed a minor league deal with Chicago back in 2007. 10 minor league seasons, hit .285. Selected by San Diego in the 14th round back in 1999.
Aflac!
The Aflac trivia question. Last night's win gave Chris Carpenter the highest winning percentage among Cardinals with 100 starts. Who held the record previously? When healthy, he's the ace of the staff, no doubt about that.
Aflac!
And Chris would be the first one to tell you he's a co-ace. But there's what you see, the highest winning percentage to the first 100 starts.
That's upstairs. And a leadoff walk to Bobby Scales. Well, John Tudor, talked with him this past week. 1985, he finished up going 20-1 after a 1-7 start. Former colleague of his picked up something he was doing mechanically wrong. And he said a real key for him was just putting the ball in play and letting his defense go get it. And he had the speedsters in the outfield, the great infield defense. John Tudor makes his home in the Boston area. Soriano looks at a strike.
John, extremely competitive, and even today, you know, you're playing in an old timers game or you're playing, you know, down at the Legends camp or something like that, he's out for blood and for wins.
He said he was on the Caravan this year, and he said it was quite an experience, is the way that he phrased it.
A lot of those guys never did it when they were playing.
Now they get a taste of it as
well, now they realize how much
veterans
fun it is to get around with the fans.
It is fun. I enjoy the Caravan.
Yeah, you and I both do.
Always a good time.
And the current players just don't see it that way.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. Got him. Strikeout of Soriano. And he's 0 for 3 tonight. Wainwright now with his 3rd strikeout.
There's a good breaking ball, and that's very effective. If you keep that ball down and away, or just away, period, you know, Soriano's going to chase a lot of pitches out of the strike zone.
Terrio has grounded out to short, also grounded to second. Said he grew up idolizing Ryan Sandberg of the Chicago Cubs, getting all the national games on WGN. And visiting with him at Wrigley Field, he said Alan Trammell has been a huge influence in his career, especially on the defensive side.
Picked a couple good ones to emulate.
Alan Trammell, 20 seasons with the Tigers. There's only 3 players in the history of Tigers baseball that have played 20 or more seasons. Alan Trammell, Ty Cobb, Al Kaline. Exclusive company for Alan Trammell.
Trammell came up at a very young age with.
He's 19.
19 when Lou Whitaker, the 2 of them, very, very young and inexperienced, but boy, both of them became terrific players.
Trammell walked into a very difficult situation before Jim Leland got to Detroit, rebuilding with all those young players, and where they took their lumps, 100+ lost seasons.
I'm sure now, and now, you know, he's the bench coach for Lou Piniella. If he gets a chance to manage, I'm sure he'd be much better prepared.
Allen was a 6-time All-Star for the Tigers. 1 out, and the pitch. with a breaking ball. And for Terrio, he's talked about this being a confidence thing for him. Not looking over his shoulder anymore. No Ronnie Cedeno. Mark DeRosa was traded to Cleveland. And he is the everyday shortstop for Lou Piniella.
That's a good point, Dan, because sometimes you can tell a player, hey, don't look over your shoulder. But when you see those other guys, and then you kind of feel the pressure. If you have a bad game, you wonder if you're going to get out there again. And and all of a sudden, sometimes you have to make those deals just so a guy can relax.
One ball, one strike. Terrio with 5 home runs this year. That's a bit of a surprise for the Chicago Cubs, since he had just 1 last year in 149 games. He's talked about a couple of reasons why. He said Lou Piniella asked him to be more aggressive. Don't take as many pitches, and we talked about that last night a little bit. But also he says he uses a heavier bat in batting practice. He's not a big weightlifting guy, but he said that heavier bat really has strengthened up his wrists.
And a lot of your home runs come to your wrist and forearm. As the old common denominator of home run hitters.
How about Hank Aaron?
Sure. I mean, your home run hitters, the 50s, 60s, they basically were 5'10" to 6'1", about 185 to 210. They weren't big guys, but they were country strong, and they had the wrist and forearms that gave them the power, and they used a heavier bat.
1-1 pitch. Line foul. Good to see Keith Kachuk here wearing his All-Star Game t-shirt and enjoying some of St. Louis's finest.
He is a good baseball man.
He's a free agent, Keith Kachuk.
And hopefully he will come back to the fold. It's happened in the past with him, right?
Yes, it has. Traded to Atlanta a couple of years ago and re-signed with the Blues.
Get him and get Pronger back.
1-2 pitch. Also one of our favorites baseball-wise. There's John Mabry. Got 10 years in. Remember, he went to the minor leagues in the 2004 season and then came up. As Tony La Russa said, you will play at some point here with us, but you're going to start in the minor leagues. And he played a vital role off the bench for the Cardinals. And eventually, he was with the Chicago Cubs. And that huge home run in the comeback against the Cincinnati Reds did Mabry in that year. 3-2 the count. Cardinals have turned a double play tonight. That was back in the second off the bat of Mike Fontenot.
Fastball here in 3.
Wainwright thought about going to second, only plays to first. They started the runner, so they avoid the double play.
Right. Started the runner, and that was the difference.
Let's go pitch by pitch, and our feature is presented by Chevrolet.
Wainwright just attacking the zone and everything. Gets a breaking ball, gets strike 1. Then he tries to repeat it. Doesn't get the call. Fastball. Kind of like an off-speed pitch there. There's a breaking ball missing on the inside. And then the fastball hit right back at him. Can't get the lead man, but they get the second out of the inning. Fukudome up again. Consistently trying to go away. Saw Molina started to kind of a weight shift away and to try to sell that point to the hitter, and then he shifted back to the middle on the curveball.
One and only J.C. Corcoran. K hits.
J.C. recently threw out the first pitch.
25 years in St. Louis.
25 years on the radio here.
Congratulations to J.C.
I think the portrait on the cap that he just gave us is better looking than he is. Still shot of his warm-up toss is a lot better than the actual thing too.
The U-Man was not here last night,
and the U-Man caught him. Longtime radio partner caught him on throwing out, but U-Man was not.
His daughter's graduation.
Public address announcer was being a good dad and went to his daughter's graduation last night.
2 balls and 1 strike on Fukudome. saw Lou Brock the other day, and the first thing he said to me was, "Where's Al?" He said, "You two are attached at the hip." It's kind of like the U-Man and JC.
Yeah. But you know, the nice thing about JC's hat is it's red. It's red. You know what he's pointing to right now? His thumb. That broke his thumb. You want in batting practice?
That's nice. It's typical for you.
No, I hit his bat. He just didn't know how. You know, he was a Cub fan back then. Didn't know how to hold the bat, and so he broke his thumb. It's a jam shot, but it didn't. It got bat. It didn't get the thumb. He just didn't know how to hold the bat.
3-2 to Fukudome. Up the middle, and a base hit. They couldn't knock it down, and a run will score. Little chopper finds a hole, and it's 3-1. Fukudome picks up his 18th RBI.
But Dan, I think if we can see a replay of the swing, you'll kind of see what we're talking about. If you can keep the ball away from him, you know, you got a better chance to get him out. As it's a breaking ball, but you see how he's falling away from the ball, and if it's away from him, he just doesn't make contact. And Wainwright nearly, and you know, his momentum carried him to the first base side as that ball just not hit well, but effectively bounced over the middle, and he couldn't get back to recover it.
Now it's the 33-year-old Derek Lee. You see the pitches by inning, and that leadoff walk comes around to score and gets the Cubs on the board. Derek Lee fights LCA, which is a degenerative disease that results in loss of vision. About 3,000 individuals in the United States suffer from that, and for the longest time he thought his daughter did. And he has raised thousands of dollars in that fight. There may have been a misdiagnosis with his daughter, but he still is helping out the folks that do suffer from LCA. He is a good guy.
Yes, he is. I had a nice little talk with him today about his neck, and said he's feeling much better.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. I think you would agree, though, he has not looked Derek Lee like. Now, it's early, and things can change, but he's dealt with that wrist injury, the neck injury, and normally he's a guy that in the middle of this lineup you just don't want to pitch to, because he hits for average and he hits for power.
Yes, you make a mistake, he'll lose it. You make good pitches, and he's a good enough hitter that he'll get his fair share of base hits then too.
The 14th overall pick by San Diego in 1993. So he's been around for a while. Off the end of the bat, Wainwright makes the play as he throws to Pujols. Cubs strand the runner, but they pick up their first of the night. It's 3-1. That's how we started our night during the national anthem. Adam Wainwright getting the start. Albert Pujols knocking out the eye in Big Mac land, as Pujols picked up his 14th. A 2-out base hit by Colby Rasmus. Brian Barton has also gone deep. Those are the 3 runs scored for St. Louis tonight. Jose Asanyo is the new pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. Well, Lou Piniella not going very deep with Marshall, as he's been in and out of that bullpen and starting rotation. It's our Chevrolet call to the bullpen.
Asanyo came over from the Atlanta Braves. This is his second year in the Cubs organization. Came over in the Will Ullman and Infante deal back in December of 07. Supposed to be a hard thrower, as Lou Piniella really likes the power pitchers in that bullpen, but struggled a little bit. Opponents aren't hitting much against him, and he hasn't walked anybody, but he's given up 3 runs in 4 innings.
Nice backhanded play by Ryan Friel. Takes his time knowing that Molina's running, and there's 1 away. Tonight, Cardinals Live is broadcasting from the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place, the casino, and watch player interviews and Tony La Russa plus Pat Paris and Ricky Horton break down the game. U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live after the game, only here on Fox Sports Midwest. Nick Stavanoa 0 for 2. And so we see now Skip Schumacher, whose replacement last inning defensively. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. Schumacher every day out early during BP, taking those ground balls, working with Jose Oquendo and Joe Patini. Constantly working on his glove work. And it is not carried over to the plate. He's been roughly hitting around 300, which he did last year. A couple of home runs, 12 RBIs.
Fouls that one off his foot. Hit 340 against right-handed pitching last season. And this year, you know, he's not hitting that high, but much higher against left-handed pitching this season, as he's getting a chance to play on a much more regular basis against the lefties. Didn't start tonight, went in for defense out and right.
And that's fouled back. 2 strikes on Skip Schumacher. One-two pitch, fouled back. One ball and 2 strikes.
There's Ben again, waving to his mom back home in Memphis.
2-2 with 1 out, nobody on, and Barton, who is homer tonight, on deck.
Ben told us he got a text message from one of his best friends, a real big Cardinal fan, who just texted him, said, "I hate you." When
He's jealous,
when he was on camera the first time. Yeah, good friend.
Sit out of play.
I think we all understood that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Ben's our new friend.
And he chased a ball, a strikeout of Schumacher. 2 outs. While you're in town for the Cardinals game, visit the St. Louis Zoo and the newly expanded Magic House. Make the most of your next visit to the Gateway City. Go to ExploreSt.Louis.com and see why St. Louis is all within reach. Here's Barton. Barton is struck out and also homered. 2 outs, nobody on. Barton looks at a ball just inside. Barty's prime cut of the game off his bat.
Breaking ball that he hits for a home run. 5 for 6 off of Marshall now in his career. See, rookie, National League Rookie of the Month. hit .385 to lead all rookies. Had 3 home runs. That led.
It's a rope here. Just past Friel and into left, and Barton has a 2-out base hit.
Good to see. And the size of Ryan Friel couldn't get up on that screamer. As ball jumping off of Barton's bat this season. His numbers in the minor leagues, remember, we acquired him a couple years ago from Arizona. But his AAA numbers were pretty impressive, and had a couple cups of coffee, but this time he looks much better at the plate, looks stronger at the plate. And of course, he said he had a hernia, which was misdiagnosed as a abdominal strain. Had surgery last winter, and he's swinging the bat a lot better now that he's healthy.
So 2 outs and a runner at first for Joe Thurston. Thurston tripled his last time up. He's also grounded out to second.
1-out triple, and stranded at third base as the Cardinals couldn't. Wainwright and Tyler Green couldn't bring him home.
Hop right over the netting where the green seats are by the Cardinal dugout. See that Minnesota score we talked about earlier, 20-1 over the White Sox. And bad news for Chicago, they don't get Jake Peavy either.
I was going to say, it really must have been gave him a real shot in the arm today, didn't it?
Yeah. What exciting news.
Yeah, exciting news. They lose 20-1, and then they find out that Jake Peavy declines to accept that trade.
Tony Gwynn Jr., by the way, is headed to San Diego. We'll get a chance to play. Jody Garrett coming to Milwaukee. There's a strikeout of Thurston. That ends the 6th. 3-1 St. Louis. On this day in baseball, 1961, Bob Gibson hurls the first of his 11 career complete game shutouts against the Cubs. That's the best.
That's against the Cubs.
Amazing, huh?
Now his great 1968 Cy Young Award winner, MVP with a 22-9 record. Now that's impressive in itself. But what stood out that year was his ERA at 1.12. And the question there has to be, how do you lose 9 games with a 1.12 ERA?
Well, think about what Zach Greinke is doing now. I mean, they've lowered the mound, and no one has pitched like this. Now, it'll be interesting to see if he could do this for 6 months.
Yes,
but it is impressive nonetheless.
Bob lost 9 games that year.
There's a line shot out to left, and the catch made by Thurston.
Because he was involved in 15 1-0 games. He was 10-5 in those games.
I think we're all looking forward, obviously, to the All-Star game, and Bob will be here. Joe Torre, many former Cardinals. Saturday, May 23rd. This Saturday, Tony La Russa Pennant Day, presented by Coca-Cola and Pasta House. All kids ages 15 and under receive a pennant featuring the Cardinals manager and a coupon to the Pasta House. Tickets head to STLCardinals.com. Mike Fontenot is grounded into a double play, 4-6-3, and also flied out to center. Be interesting too as we get closer to the All-Star game, some of the festivities around that night, you know, a red carpet parade, those kind of things, and some of the folks that will take part in those festivities for the All-Star game.
Fan Fest, I think, believes it starts on Saturday at the Convention Center. A lot of baseball activities there. You'll have Hall of Famers and other baseball luminaries that will be giving free autographs. That's part of the, you know, your admission ticket, and a lot of just interactive. If you're a fan of the Cardinal Fan Fest, you know, that's just a small percentage of what will take place out at the Convention Center. And I know there's going to be another signing that, you know, a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of ball players, some of your heroes will be taking place downtown. That will be, you know, we'll maybe give some more information on that because our good buddy Dick Zitzman's involved with that one.
Strikeout, that's number 4 for Wainwright tonight. Boy, he is sharp. That was pitch number 91. And a curveball that Fontenot strikes out on.
There's a good curveball. Look where it starts out down. And so when it starts breaking down, it bounces up there. Or so far in the strike zone, if you hit it, you just pound it in the dirt.
I know we've said it time and again, but what a difference starting pitching makes. I mean, you look at the weekend, you look at what Wellemeyer had going on Sunday. The relievers the other night struggled on Monday night. And now you get these starters going and rolling. It just changes everything.
Well, the Cardinals got off to a great start in April, and it was due to the starting pitching. You know, they were 14-2 in the month of April. They hit May. They were horrible prior to the last 3 nights. They had an ERA of 6. And one of your struggling pitchers, Wellemeyer, was the only guy that won those 2 games. But Pinheiro was spectacular. Then you followed up with Carpenter, Wainwright tonight. They set the tone for a ball game starting pitching.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
And so many of the losses, you know, if the starters weren't doing the job at a time when you knew, you know, Albert was not himself. Ludwig and Ankiel were out of the lineup. Gloss has been gone all season long. That's when the starters really have to, you know, show their responsibility and do the job. They weren't doing it early, but the last 3 nights have been great.
Right-hander throwing in the pen right now for the Cubs. No activity for the Cardinals. 2 outs, nobody on, and a 3-2.
Didn't want the fastball, didn't want the curveball, the slider.
And he got him. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 5 on the night for Adam Wainwright. It's 3-1. channels. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Absolutely gorgeous night. Back in 1976, Lou Piniella, while trying to score, knocks over Carlton Fisk, causing a melee. Boston pitcher Bill Spaceman Lee is body slammed and breaks his collarbone. Your charity golf tournament, I always enjoyed the Spaceman being a part of it.
Oh yeah, he's out there a little bit, isn't he?
I like what he did the other day. He called you looking for tickets, and what was he, a couple weeks off on the date?
No, his son is head coach, I think, at a Division III LSU, and they were going someplace up in Illinois for their College World Series, Division III, and he asked me if we could get tickets. I said sure. Called our buddy Joe Strom. We got tickets for the entire team. 10 minutes later, he calls me back and says, "Oh, it's next week when you're in Pittsburgh."
And that's Bill Spaceman Lee.
Yeah, I mean, at least he had it the right year.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to Wainwright, hitting for himself here. He's approaching 100 pitches.
Well, that's, the one thing you'd sit there and I was about to say that, hey, isn't this neat? He's running around 100 pitches. He's already given you 7 solid innings, but he's going to hit for himself, go back out there. But we never know that. But nobody's warming up in the bullpen.
2-2.
And what I'm saying about that is, playing with a short bench, carrying an extra pitcher, Tony many times will let his starting pitcher hit for themselves after they are going to be pulled from their defensive duties.
Yankees trying to win another one, continue their streak. They do over Baltimore. 7-4 the final there. Called third strike on the inside corner to Wainwright. He's at 97 pitches on the night. Adam Wainwright, again, very effective. He has struck out 5 and walked just 1.
Putting the back-to-back starts together, where he ironed something out mechanically, and boy, the results have been outstanding.
Now in that game for the Yankees, Jabba Chamberlain was hit on his knee. The line drive x-rays were taken but were negative. Nothing more than a bruise.
There's an Aubrey Huff that hit a home run earlier in the season on him, and I guess Chamberlain, when he strikes a guy out, especially the third out of names, makes a demonstrative movement or something like that.
He's pumping his fist.
Pumping his fist. And Aubrey Huff, was a strikeout victim a couple years ago in Chamberlain's first year. So Aubrey Huff hit a home run, and apparently when he got around first base, he started making that same gyration, and then even more so when he got to home plate. And everyone was a little concerned about could there be retaliation.
To me, Jabba Chamberlain doesn't have a case.
No, exactly, because Aubrey Huff said, hey, I normally don't do that, but I like to have fun. He got me. So I'm not doing anything that he doesn't do to hitters. And that's why, great Nolan Ryan. Remember, he did it one time, imitated Brad Leslie, the animal. If he'd strike out, yell and roar.
Some of the stuff now is just ridiculous in how certain guys act. But
mine was
though.
I used to do things in preparation to get guys out. And if I got you out, I went on to the next guy. So I never tried to show up anybody.
This may drop. It does. It's a base hit. Green on his way to second base, and he's in there with a double.
Tyler has that speed too, but when you make that decision, and he's got the play in front of him as he's running to first base, you can see right now this ball's going to get down. You make your decision right now to go to second. Don't turn around and look, because that slows you down and makes it a much closer play. If you make that decision right before you touch first base, just put your head down and keep on running. Or look over to third base and pick up your base coach, but don't turn around and look to the outfield.
Here's Brendan Ryan. He's lined out, flied out, and also grounded out. we're talking about middle relief, or at least that setup role, and Jabba Chamberlain seemed to be the ideal fit for the Yankees, but they wanted him to be in the rotation. But so many games are won and lost with that 8th inning pitcher.
6th, 7th, and 8th inning. And many times, you know, the closer gets so much credit, but as you say, the game is won and lost prior to getting to the closer. Look at the job last night that McClellan did, getting the 2 shutout innings, setting up Vermont and Reyes for the 8th inning, and then, you know, you had the tuck and nip 9th inning that they scored their only run, made it a 1-run game with the tying run on third base when the final out was recorded.
It looks like they've given up a couple of good young pitchers in Ohlendorf and Karstens. Yes. Guys that could be in that rotation, and then move Chamberlain to your 8th inning.
I like the old way, the old school. Bring a guy up to minor leagues, put him in the bullpen for a couple of years.
Wainwright.
You know, wasn't bad. Didn't hurt Bob Gibson's career, did it?
Turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's how he got to the big leagues. You're either the broken down starter in the bullpen, or you're the young kid that wasn't good enough to go into the rotation. But a manager can kind of manufacture situations, make it successful for you, build your confidence up.
Outside and low. So it was 0-2, and now 3-2 with 1 out as Neil Kotz is getting loose, the lefty for the Cubs. No activity for the Cardinals in their pen. Brendan Ryan has been shifting all over the place in the infield for Tony La Russa, and tonight he finds himself at second base. Pisano, this is his 2nd inning of work. Ryan on a hop to short. Ontario makes a nice play. And Green nowhere to go. He had to stay put at second base. I-70 series heats up this weekend. Kansas City makes the trip to St. Louis, and coverage starts tomorrow at 6:30 with Cardinals Live. Cardinals and Royals tomorrow will be in high definition only here on Fox Sports Midwest.
They're going to have a pitching change as Kobe Rasmus comes to the plate, and see if it's not a double switch. Yeah, it is. Usually when you see a manager go to the home plate umpire, he has to make the double switch before he can make the bullpen switch. He's a left-hander. He'll open it correctly. See?
He did.
See? I mean, he's left-handed. The door comes in, not out.
Neil Kotz in our Chevrolet call to the bullpen. Boy, we pick up the little things that go on in a game, including the bullpen doors. It's 3-1.
Here at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals have that 3-1 lead and threatening with 2 outs as Aaron Miles, part of the double switch. The former Cardinal going to play second base. And Neil Kotz, a very reliable left-hander, will come to the mound. Neil from Lebanon, Illinois. 16 appearances. ERA is high for him, and opponents have batted .300, but he's done a very good job of stranded inherited runners. 12 of 13. And Colby has to face another left-hander here. He's gotten much better the last couple years, or excuse me, the last couple weeks. But playing on an everyday basis, he's not. It's not just an automatic out now facing a left-hander.
First pitch to, rather second pitch to Rasmus is hit out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. Neil Kotz has been in the Windy City, it seems like, a long time. He's from this area, not too far away. Former White Sox reliever, and now with the Chicago Cubs.
And 6 full season in the majors, 3rd with the Cubs. He made his major league debut with the White Sox back in '03.
And the 0-2 pitch to Colby Rasmus, up and in. Remember in Game 1 of the series, Ted Lilly in the 5th inning against Colby Rasmus had him 0-2. Just missed with a fastball. He fouled off a curveball and then hit the 2-run homer. Rasmus tonight with a 2-out base hit. And Colby hits it into deep center field. Fukudome is back near the track, and he's got it. We played 7 here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The Cardinals 3, the Cubs 1. Wainwright back to work. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. It's 3-1 as we move to the top of the 8th. And where's the umpire?
Well, Tony had a discussion with the crew chief, Jerry Davis, and we really weren't paying attention, but it didn't look like Tony was real happy. Now he's talking about the defense here. Beware of a possibility of Ryan Friel dropping down a bunt.
Wainwright tonight has gone 7 innings. He has struck out 5, and this will be pitch number 98 on its way. A strike at the knees.
Nazi's lost some weight.
Ryan Friel, Aaron Miles, and Alfonso Soriano. That's strike 2 as he chased a pitch out of the zone. 0-2. Friel tonight twice is grounded out to short.
Reyes and Mott are throwing behind Adam Wainwright, who prepares for his 100th pitch.
Outfield is shallow and straight away for Friel. The 0-2 pitch. Check swing, he went, and Friel strikes out. Number 6 tonight for Wainwright. And that's 3 in a row.
One of the little things about the game of baseball, and Molina did properly is on that strikeout, as Friel's running down to first base and you're preparing to throw, he gets definitely into foul territory, and then Albert got into foul territory, so you don't throw it into the runner. You just play catch. Both of you stand in foul territory and make the play.
See the MLB hold leaders among the teams, brought to you by Firestone, and now it's Miles, the switch hitter. He pops one foul. So we saw when he was in St. Louis, more times than not, Aaron Miles will put the ball in play. Always seemed to give you that gritty at bat when he was wearing the Cardinal uniform.
Gotten off to a slow start this season. Picked up his first pinch hit last night for the Cubs. He was involved in the double switch, but we know this guy is a real winning player.
Up the middle, it's off the mound, handled easily. That's short, 2 away. Now the question for Tony La Russa. Wainwright is at 101. You think about the 9th inning. If he can get this third out efficiently, does he go back for the 9th?
Well, a lot of times you will sit there and you will watch how is he laboring. And the answer is no. And he's gotten back on track. He's a little more efficient right now. He's in that attack mode, and part of what his mindset is he's got to convince Tony that I can get rid of these guys quickly so I can get back out there with a respectable pitch count for that opportunity for the 9th. Remember, Franklin had a tough save last night and inning to work.
Soriano pops it up. Pujols over, leans in and out of play. About 2 rows deep. Soriano is struggling in this series. He's flied to center tonight, grounded into a force play, and struck out in the 6th.
Well, we all know that the Cardinals are catching the Cubs at the right time. Their offense is down, but some of that has been the Cardinals pitching, and Adam waiting right there for his defense to get back into position before stepping up on the mound. The slider, cutter.
Next to Soriano, swing and a miss.
You get ahead in the count with Soriano, and then if you can throw that off-speed pitch and tantalize him with something that starts on the outer half and break away. Shuck off the curveball, didn't want the slider, and wants the fastball away. Far enough away to where he doesn't get something on it. A lot of times that you work away, then you come in, but I don't really want to do that with him. He's got a lightning quick bat, and unless you can successfully get inside off the plate, back to the curveball.
1-2 pitch. That has been the pitch that's been getting him in this series. The breaking ball. 2 strikeouts in the inning. And 7 tonight for Adam Wainwright. Pujols is due up first when we come back. up against the Cubs. 2006, late August, a walk-off grand slam against Bob Howery in a championship year for the Cardinals. Wainwright now well over 100 pitches. We'll see if he comes back out for the 9th inning. My guess would be yes, and Tony La Russa would have reinforcements ready to roll if he gets in trouble.
It looks that way, and sometimes, you know, because you had relievers up, but it would be Franklin who would have the 9th inning, you would suspect. Now, Franklin did pitch in both games of the series. Remember, he hadn't pitched in about 4 or 5 days, so he tuned up no, excuse me, that was the day before, the last game in Milwaukee. So that was Monday, Tuesday off with Pinero's shutout, and then pitched the rough inning yesterday for his 10th save.
There's Guzman, the new right-hander for the Chicago Cubs. Fukudome has played so deep in this series, and it's not just on Pujols, but on many of the Cardinal hitters.
And he really just does not look comfortable going back on balls either.
Popped up, going out. Terrio calls for it and makes the catch. Pujols, a home run tonight, a walk. He's fly to center now. He is popped out to short, and it brings in Molina with Schumacher to follow.
You know, sometimes I'm critical of outfielders laying back and not fielding balls in shallow outfield, but under that circumstance, Terrio did the right thing. He went back under the pop-up, put his hand up, telling his outfielder, he said, hey, don't worry about coming in. This is a nice, easy pop-up for me. I've got it under control.
Molina shoots one foul. But if you're just joining us, the Cardinals picked up their RBIs with a couple of home runs, and the first happened in the first. For the 6th time this year, Pujols with a first-inning home run, and he knocked out the eye in Big Mac land. Terrio again. 2 outs. Looking ahead for the Cubs, they'll have 2, 3, and 4 in their lineup in the 9th inning. That means Terrio, Fukudome, and Derek Lee. Remember back when Mark McGwire hit the post dispatch sign at Busch Stadium? They put the Band-Aid up there.
In dead center field, and it would be about the Coca-Cola sign out there in center field, right?
Long way.
It would be out there, you know, thinking about that, hitting the top, the STL on the Coca-Cola sign is where he hit that post dispatch in the old ballpark. That's a pretty good poke, isn't it?
He hit a few like that, though. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Schumacher, struck out as he came off the bench tonight with the lefty Marshall starting, so Schumacher took over for Nick Stavinoa in right. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, and nobody on.
When you think of it, I think it would go over the Coca-Cola sign.
We have not seen a ball that has left Busch Stadium. Now, the new Busch Stadium. Pujols was close against the Cubs with that grand slam a few weekends ago.
So you're trying to tell me Skip's going to do one now?
You never know.
You never know.
We'll shoot that foul. 2-2. Mike Laga.
Mike Laga was the only player to hit a ball out of Busch Stadium 2. The legend of Laga, the only thing was a big lumbering left-handed hitter, and he hit it over the Cardinals dugout and literally out of the stadium, up above the sculpturing of the rooftop.
2-2, right down the middle, and Schumacher strikes out for the 2nd time tonight. 9th inning rolls in.
Cellular Cardinals live. Pat Paris and Rick Horton are live at Lumiere Place. They'll look at the suddenly surging Cardinal starting rotation, an eye-popping home run by Albert. That and more coming up after the game.
Out to right. Terrio is out number 1. Good start here for Wainwright. Gets that all-important first out here in the 9th and gets it done quickly.
Oh, when you get that first pitch out, boy, they just revitalized you, and hopefully it'll sustain him through.
The Home Depot doing more on defense, and the pick by Pujols here.
Kind of eased up a little bit too much after he made the nice play to scoop it up and makes a low throw to Albert, but his soft hands made the difference.
Fukudome. So, Al, what have you seen with Wainwright last start, this start, as opposed to the handful of starts where he struggled?
Well, he felt like he was releasing the ball too high over his head. Wanted to drop it down 3 or 4 inches, a little more 3/4. And what that has allowed him to do is get on top of his pitches. So when he finishes on his fastball, it's got a little life to it. He's staying on top of his breaking ball, so it's got the downward action with a cutter. And his arm's not dragging. Something he detected on video with Chris Carpenter after a couple starts ago, and the last 2 times out, it's been, a much different pitcher.
The 2-1 pitch. Fly ball, opposite way. Thurston going back with room. 2 away. Baseball tonight on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime. The drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. By Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by Hyundai. Discover why only Hyundai can say sales event. Visit your St. Louis area Hyundai dealers today. On their feet here at Busch.
Cardinal fans have had a lot of fun these last 3 days, and frustrating for the Cubbies.
First pitch by Wainwright to Derek Lee. Our player of the game, Adam Wainwright, so far 8 2/3. Can he finish it off? They're on their feet here at Busch Stadium. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lee tonight. A single. You saw the fine play by Pujols on the pick. Back in the 4th, he's also grounded back to the pitcher. Trying to make it the 2nd complete game for his starter here in this series. 2 balls and 1 strike. This will be pitch number 114 upcoming. The Cubs with just 4 base hits tonight. The 2-1 pitch. Lee over the head of Brendan Ryan into right center, and the game is extended, and now the tying run comes to the plate. And the switch hitter, Milton Bradley.
After 2 outs, and with Derek Lee coming up, Tony La Russa got Reyes up. Now Bradley's a switch hitter, but you've got Fontenot after that. But Tony La Russa's coming up. You get the indication he's going to go to his bullpen. And he's giving the signal to Ryan right now, Ryan Franklin.
Fans not pleased with that move. And Franklin will come in and listen to the ovation for Adam. Over Houston, our ball game here, the tying run at the plate. And what a difference a series can make. The starters, the last two series, Milwaukee and the Chicago Cubs, and what the Cardinals have done.
Just tells an awful lot. The 1 earned run versus 9. The walks, look at that. 12 by the starters and 3 here in the Cubs series. Remember, the Cardinals walked 23 as a pitching staff and hit 4 batters in the Milwaukee series. Wainwright only can watch. He wanted to finish it off. And Franklin will have the switch hitter Bradley, and then the Hoffpower will pinch hit for Guzman, as Fontenot was part of that double switch with Miles early.
Runner will take second, and that pitch is a little upstairs to Milton Bradley. Now they'll go over the signs with Lee at second base and switch him up. Milton Bradley, a switch hitter, as I mentioned, and it's been a struggle this year. He's 0 for 3 tonight. His average now is dipped to 186. He does have 4 home runs and 9 RBIs. He's a threat with that good power.
Hit a double yesterday in the 9th inning off of Franklin. Remember, he'd struck him out a couple once and was 0 for 2 prior to the double.
Bradley into right, but this should do it. The Cardinals win it, and they sweep the Chicago Cubs. Pitching came alive against